what sort of metrics do we capture?
So sometimes I get clients that ask me, what metrics should we track? And so if you're just starting out, I recommend thinking about it in 3 buckets, not necessarily for the scorecard or anything, but just things that you should be aware of so that you can set up the right activity for the right metric. And so I like to think, if you're looking at different things that you can get from the product, for example, you want to think through adoption metrics, sticky and differentiating features, and success metrics. The adoption metrics would just give you a sense of, are they even using it? How often are they using it? What's the level of usage? So the frequency that they're using the system. If you were to automate Ben's approach, these are the kind of things you want to get out of the usage product metrics and other things that you might have with other source systems. So duration and frequency could be the duration and frequency, not with your CSM. If it's a complete tech touch, it would be the duration and frequency with your product. Then for sticky and differentiation, this is an example of a company like, DocSend, where you have collateral that you can share with prospects, or you can present it to them and you can kind of keep track of, are they using it enough? We kind of want to see, what features our clients asking for, what helped us win the deal when we did the demo, what got them excited, that was a differentiator for them, that was valuable for them. And it's just to make sure that they're actually using things that are unique to us. So if they're ever thinking about, is it like commoditizing our product and solution, it would be hard for them because they're using things that only we provide. And then finally, the success metrics is, can we leverage our solution to say, these are the things, Mr. Customer, that you're actually doing better over time? Is there somewhere that not just capitalize on, revenues that you were able to get, but are there some processes that takes less now? Or are there things that you don't do manually anymore? That's the intent.
I always tell how metrics can really mess you up, because when we changed marketing automation solutions, literally the day before we gave them the notice was probably our max usage.
Yeah,
So, but
exactly.
Problems, right? So it's somewhere else buried in some of the other things that they can and should have been capturing around us, not the least of which was us telling them how dissatisfied we were.
Mm-hmm. And I think there's something to be said about, if you were to design something like that for your own customers, first think about yourself as a customer of another vendor. Were there any metrics that they should have tracked for us before we churn that would have suggested something, yes or no? And do we have similar features or equivalent features that we should be tracking given that mindset? I think that would give you a good sense of what you should be tracking.
Sure.
And then once you do have some of these things tracked, you can now identify, just-in-time approach if you really wanted to embrace it. If you have a lower adoption, what should you do? How should you set up your alerts? And again, if you have, no usage, if you have some certain features that are being used the most, or a certain engagement percentage, again and again. And this is really to say, between the selling point and the contract being ready to renewal, are there any things that your team should be aware of so that they can double click on it? And again, I would really recommend setting up stuff that's like not going to bombard your CSM. I know some companies have a retention team that's just, double clicking on these things. This is an example, but it's not like the holy grail. It's not best practices, but a framework you should be thinking about. If you are tracking these metrics, is there anything you should be tracking from, red trends, green trends, and what is, if anything, a call to action for your CSM or other teams they should be taking on? So if you want these examples of different playbooks that you can trigger based on different alerts and criterias and metrics, I encourage you to text CSM playbooks to this number here. There's a recording and you can download the slide deck and do this later too, but this will give you this automated playbooks.